Independent Mind, Osho, Chapter 4. Answer come through consciousness. Yesterday we contemplated on the thoughtless state. If thinking is not born, man can neither have any experience in life nor can there be any creativity. What I mean by the thinking state is that you should have eyes. What I mean is the ability to think on your own. It is really surprising. The more someone has thoughts moving within him, the less he has the ability to think. If a blind man wants to leave a building, thousands and one thoughts occur to him. The ability to think is the ability to see. Once thinking happens in your life, you start seeing. Before I speak about it, first I must tell you that all thoughts moving in the crowd of thoughts are aliens. They are not your own. What does it mean to think? Thinking means the awakening of your consciousness concerning the problem of life, the emergence of solutions to life's problem out of your consciousness. Every day, life creates problems, but our answers are borrowed, so none of the problems in our life ever get solved. Do not function through memory when it comes to the deeper problems of life. When it comes to knowing the truth, tell your memory to be silent. By thinking, you may not necessarily get the answer. But even in quietness, even in silence, a solution will start coming that will transform your being. The answer will not come in the form of words. You may ask, and your consciousness remains silent. You may not get any answer from within. But in the silence, your being starts finding a solution. Although a solution does not come in the form of words, from the next day onward, your life starts taking a totally different turn. Attainment is in the transformation of life and not in finding an answer. Second key is live with the question patiently. Those in a hurry to find an answer will become dependent on the memory. If you want a quick answer, the memory will give you the answer instantly. But the precept is all about waiting patiently. If no answer comes, wait. Just ask the question and be silent. Don't accept anyone else's answer. Just ask the question and become silent. Try experiment. Try doing this. Ask yourself, what is love? And just remain silent. If any answer comes through book, just ignore it. Ask who I am. Who am I? But don't give the answer. I am soul. I am this. I am that. Everywhere you are being taught such answers. You are a pure awakened soul. You are infinite knowing. No, don't give any such answers. Ask who am I and become silent. At the time of going to sleep, ask yourself, who am I? When you become awake, wake again. A person who gives answers is mistaken. A person who has a question silence sees the memory, then waits patiently without finding an answer. Patience is a wonderful thing. A person sows a seed and then waits patiently for the seed to sprout. The seed will one day sprout. Just sow the seed of the question and don't bother about the answer. Wait silently. Sow the seed of the question and wait for the answer. The answer, which at first you cannot see, is hidden in the question. Let the question go deeper into the soul of your heart. Don't be in a hurry. Let the question remain within you. It is necessary for us to sow within ourselves all the deeper questions concerning our life. For those who want to think, it is the question that is meaningful, not the answer. A person who believes simply collects the answer, but a person who thinks stores the question deep within him. He puts his whole being into the question. Someone who sows the question then toils and waits until one day he attains the flower of wisdom. It is possible that someone who sows the seed within himself may find it difficult to say or write anything about love. It may be difficult for him to say anything about truth. But the fragrance of love and truth starts pervading his life. There was once Paul, mystic in Bengal. In the search for life, there are two directions. One is the direction of the scholar, and the other is of knowing. Someone who takes the direction of the scholar gets lost forever because he simply does not have anything other than words. Someone who goes in the direction of knowing, slowly his words go on disappearing. He has nothing except the experience of the worldless. A person who accumulates thoughts will become a scholar. A person who gives birth to thinking in his life, knowing is born. It is not through thoughts that you attain knowing, but through thinking. Not by collecting thoughts, but by giving birth to thinking. I have told you two keys for attaining wisdom. First, let your memory become silent. Beware of the memory, as the memory is dangerous. The memory is utterly deceptive. One who falls in the delusion of memory goes astray. Second, ask questions but don't be in a hurry for the answer. So the seeds of the question in your being, allow the question to resolve there. Let it echo there. Allow the question to intensify there as long as possible. Let the question move in your mind. Let it have momentum and don't be in a hurry. Don't accept any borrowed answer. If answer comes, go on rejecting them. A moment should come when there is no answer. The same soul that asked the question is capable of giving the answer. I have told you these two keys in order to give you birth to thinking. A person who follows his own thinking one day attains authentic trust, authentic faith, in an experience which leaves no room for doubt. He has attained it by himself. You may believe in the existence of God, but if you search a little inside yourself, you will find more than one thought which doubts whether God exists. You may believe there is a soul, but hidden inside you is a seed saying, "Who knows whether the soul exists or not?" The more firmly you believe in the existence of the soul or God, the more there will be doubt as well. Otherwise, against what are you creating the firmness? I told you yesterday to allow the doubt to surface. Don't fall prey to fake belief. If you really want to attain the state of authentic faith and trust someday, let that real doubt become manifest. Allow it to ask, allow the question to arise, and allow the problems it brings. One day, the answer will come. If you wait, one day the solution will arrive. Today I have told you a few things about the thinking state. Tomorrow I will talk to you about the state of no thought. I am thankful that you have listened to my talk with such love. Chapter 6. Religiousness, Understanding Life. In the last 2 days, we have contemplated on 2 states of the mind. On the first day, I talked about the thoughtless state. The thoughtless state is born out of belief and faith, and those who envelop themselves in the thoughtless states are deprived of knowing truth. Yesterday, we contemplated on how the thinking state can be born. Only minds free of belief, faith, and blind trust can manifest at the thinking state. Only in those minds which shows so much courage that they can destroy the traditions and the blind concepts given by society, can the thinking states be born. Before I talk about what I mean by no thought, I must say a few things about how we are trapped in a web of thoughts. Around the clock, man's mind, in some way or other, is surrounded by a fabric of thoughts. A crowd of thoughts keeps moving inside us. Very few people are aware that inside them there is a confusion of thoughts, a crowd of self-contradictory thoughts, a web of thoughts in conflict with each other. In this conflict and in affliction, the whole energy of a man's mind gets exhausted. And if someone's mind energy gets exhausted, he becomes so weak within that there is no possibility for him to move on a search for truth. You may never have thought about this, so once in a while, just sit alone and write down whatever is going on in your mind. Be honest. Write it down. Whatever. And in that 1 hour, you will see that your mind is woven like a cobweb. You will find things there which you never even imagined or expected could be inside you. There will be devotional songs. There will be nice words like soul and God, but there will also be abusive languages. There will be the most hateful and abhorrent feelings, and the desire to commit the most heinous crimes. On seeing such desires, you will be shocked. There will be no connection whatsoever between the thoughts. They will be totally unrelated and contradictory to each other. Your mind will jump from one thought to another. It will jump from one desire to another. If in that 1 hour you write down whatever is going on in your mind exactly. As far as I can see, there is no functional difference between a madman and an ordinary man. There cannot be. The madman is someone born inside us. It is simply our own growth. Considering the state we are in, any one of us can become mad any moment. In such a neurotic state of thoughts, how can one move toward the truth? And I'm speaking to you, nobody else. I am not telling this to anyone else. I am only telling you this as it utterly essential to know this fact. In a state of extreme tension and anxiety, this web of conflicting and self-contradictory thoughts, self-contradictory feelings, makes a person insane. You will not be surprised to know that most of the people considered to be great thinkers went mad. If the tension and burden of thoughts go on increasing, we move toward the point of insanity. If the tension and burden of thoughts wane, the mind becomes more calm and silent. If we can reach a state where there are no ripple of vibration of thought whatsoever, then we are closer to being liberated. These are the 2 points of the human mind, liberation and insanity. Whatever we do in life, ordinarily we go on moving toward the point of insanity. Religiousness and meditation invite us to move in the other direction. Dormant madness is moving inside us. If we get shocked, our madness will manifest on the outside. It is not the only one person is suffering because of this madness from within. The whole society is suffering. The madness has collective expressions as well. This madness causes a collective upheaval. In a situation of war, people's madness gets released collectively, so the number of the people going individually mad reduces drastically. If two people are fighting on the street, you leave all your important work and start watching the fight. Why? Because this is an opportunity for the release of your inner madness. Even if a politician tries 1,000,000 times, war cannot be avoided. Peace cannot happen in the world. He is just banging his head against a brick wall. Unless steps are taken to reduce each individual's madness, wars will continue. Only the reasons or the excuses will change. The history of the last 5,000 years have shown us that wars cannot be avoided. No matter what the politician says, no matter how much he appeals for peace, no matter how much he shouts that there has to be peace in the world, peace cannot happen. During the Second World War, 60 million people were killed, and that gave us some relief. How to transform this state of man's mind? How can a person move from an excessive crowd of thoughts toward the state of no thought and silence? Today I want to say a few things to you about this, but before that I had to describe to you what the situation is. Remember, I am talking to you, not to anyone else. If you are mad, then in this state of madness, even being a Hindu won't make any difference. Reading a Gita or Quran won't make any difference. Before a mad person does anything, it would be much better, essential and important, if he tries to understand his madness. He should find out if there is any way he can become free of the madness. Only then will everything he does be meaningful. Otherwise, all these actions will prove futile. Didn't we hear in India recently about the need to defend non-violence with violence? If a person is mad, he will even draw a sword to defend non-violence, saying that now violence is needed to defend it. The first thing is to become aware of your own madness. And what do I call madness? A mind which is in conflict, a mind which is surrounded by a crowd of thoughts so that it is unable to perceive anything clearly. What is the path? What should we do? First, there is a great fear in our mind about becoming empty. This fear has been put on us. Never let the mind stay empty. Never be idle. So a fear of emptiness pervades. That is why we are never ready to be empty inside. No one wants to be empty. We all have a fear of being empty. The first is that if we sit and become empty, we are afraid that we will become nobody. Out of this desire, I want to become somebody, we accumulate wealth, and the more wealth I have, the more I will be somebody. This race to become somebody takes us into all kinds of accumulating. And the most subtle is the accumulation of thoughts. A person who has too many thoughts is full of too many thoughts. We call a pundit and we respect him. Christ has said, "Blessed are those who are poor in spirit." The day he fully attains this experience, this understanding that he is nobody, and he becomes willing to remain nobody, that day and in that empty space, he experiences godliness, truth, life, or whatever name we want to call it. When it rains, the huge mountains, which are already full, are deprived of the water. The rain simply falls on the mountainside and flows down into the deeper valley. We are all in the race to fill ourselves. We go on stuffing ourselves from inside as well as from outside. Outside we accumulate clothes, wealth, and a house. Inside we go on accumulating thoughts, scriptures, words. If ever someone is aware of this madness, by filling myself with these outer things, I still remain empty. You cannot fill yourself with the outer home, outer friends, or loved ones, but you can fill yourself with the inner prejudices and inner thoughts. So the first key is non-possession of thought. Don't accumulate the thoughts. Drop them, let go of them. We have a feeling of a possession towards the accumulated thoughts. Don't have this feeling of possession toward the thoughts. You have to have a sense of non-possession towards the thought. We only want to remember those things which we are unable to understand. If we can understand something, we don't have to remember it. There is simply no question of remembering it. There is simply no question of keeping it in the memory. So don't have the desire to accumulate. Have the desire to understand life. It is difficult for those people who accumulate words to understand. They don't understand anything at all. They cannot understand because understanding longs for liberation, for freshness, not staleness, not for anything borrowed. Accumulation makes everything borrowed. Remember, no matter how many words, scriptures, or thoughts you may accumulate, your understanding will not grow. You cannot accumulate understanding. Try to understand the mistake, the error of accumulating thoughts. I say the first key is non-possession of thoughts. If you are non-possessive towards thoughts, the second sutra will be inevitable. The attachment to thoughts will drop. Right now we say, it is my thought. Which thought is yours? But if there is an argument, you will say, it is my thought, my religion, my scripture, my God. From where does is my enter you? Just dig a little. Do an analysis. Try to catch hold of every single thought and identify whether or not it is yours. Saying it is my thought creates an attachment to the thought. We become identified with it. Then we try to defend it. We want to pervade it. We don't want to let go of it. You must become aware of and understand this fact. None of the thoughts are mine. The moment it becomes clear to you that not a single thought is yours, immediately your attachment to thoughts will drop. If you are a Jaina and someone abuses the Jaina religion, then your being starts quivering. He has abused my religion. Many people have sacrificed their lives for their thoughts. Many people have died for the sake of ideology. When someone becomes ready to die, just think how deep his attachment will be. He is ready to lose his life for the sake of a thought, and that thought is totally alien to him. And he is ready to lose his soul. Lose his life for what? When attachment reaches certain extent, fanaticism is born out of this madness. If you want to become free from a thought, then you will have to break the link which makes a thought mine. Thoughts take hold of us that they become more important than understanding. When India and Pakistan were divided, who were the people who killed the Hindus, killed the Mohammedans? They were people like us, people who visited the mosque or temple every day, read the Gita and Quran every day. But they just had this thought, I'm a Hindu and you're a Mohammedan. These two thoughts, these petty thoughts that simply have no value other than that teaching, it has been bred into one person's mind, you are Hindu, and into another person's mind, you are a Mohammedan. And they have both learned this stupidity. For the sake of them, they forgot all their mosques and temples, the Quran and the Gita, and started poking knives into each other's chest. They were people just like us. Thoughts have become more important than understanding because we have become too attached to them. So the first thing is non-possession of thought. Second thing, drop the attachment to thoughts. Third thing, be in a state of indifferent witnessing of thought. The most important key is the third one. The first two are its background. The first two are its primary preparations. So indifferent observation is most important. You ever stood by the side of the river? Have you ever stood on the bank and watched? While you are standing or sitting there, the river continues flowing, and you are just watching it. The thoughts are moving. No thought is yours. None of them is your enemy or friend. Constant practice, constant remembrance, and constant being in a state of such indifference will step by step lead to the diminishing of thought. They came because we called them. If you constantly try to achieve this, standing aside from thought with a feeling of indifference, one day, unexpectedly, you will find that thoughts have disappeared. Slowly learn to be indifferent to minor things in life. Sometime when you are walking along the street, suddenly stop and for a while just watch indifferently what is going on. Sometimes when you are sitting with your family, for a moment be indifferent but aware and watch. Everything that is happening is a dream. While wherever you are, for a while, stop suddenly and watch. All that is happening is a drama. First day I told you about death, that we are almost corpse. We are simply dying every day and we have no idea of life. Life is behind a locked door, encaged and imprisoned inside us. Unless we break that lock, it is difficult to go in and know life. That lock is thought. That lock is the identification with thoughts. That lock is attachment to thoughts. That lock is possessiveness about thoughts. If thoughts vanish completely, if this rush and web of thoughts comes to a halt, then in that waveless mind we can know life. Immortality dwells in every single person, and the energy of the original life source, the primal life source, is hidden inside everyone. But if someone makes an effort and longs for it, if he works and is reserved, we can become acquainted with it. If you want to ask anything about this, I will talk to you this evening. If you try to understand what I have told you about those three things, it will surely bring result. I am very grateful to you that you listened to me with such love and silence.